Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Shloka Day. Today's Shloka is Shloka number 2 of chapter 14. Idam jnanamupashritya
Idam jnanam upashritya
mama sadharmyamagataha
mama sadhanyamagataha
sarge pinopajayante
sarge pinopajayante
pralaye navyatanti cha.
alayena vyathanti cha.
Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Idam,
This
jnanam,
jnanam
knowledge, upashritya, taking shelter of, mama, my, sadharmyam, same nature, agataha, having attained, sarge api, even in the creation, na, never, upajayante, are born, pralaye, in the annihilation, na, nor, vyathanti, are disturbed, cha, also. Translation. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, after acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. So what does it mean when Prabhupada says we achieve equality? It means we become of the same nature of the Lord Satchidananda, and we also attain liberation. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. Just because you have the same features or characteristics of the Lord of Satchidananda, the Lord has it unlimitedly. We have it in a finite manner. And even if we were to get liberation, we never merge with the Lord. There are certain Vedic thought processes that says that the individual Atma merges with the Paramatma, but that's not a belief in the Vaishnava philosophy. The identity remains separate because the idea of service is never taken away from you. If you have learned how to serve the Lord in the form of his Archavigraha form here in the temple, you will get that same opportunity to serve the Lord in multifarious ways, even in the spiritual world. So you are not deprived of service in the spiritual world. For the concept of service to be accepted, there has to be two personalities. The personality that accepts service and the personality that is giving service. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, the Jivatma always maintains their individual identity. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in his transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. So in Bhakti Yoga, the concept of seva is very, very important. Without seva, your consciousness cannot be cleansed. Without hearing, your consciousness cannot be cleansed. So that is the process of Bhakti. Now, what is the rasas, of course, vary between the Vaikuntha planets and the Goloka planets. In the Vaikuntha planets, you have 2.5 rasas. You have the Shanta ras, you have the Dasya ras, and you have a little bit of Sakhya ras. The Vatsalya ras and the Madhurya ras does not exist in the Vaikuntha planets. It is there only in Goloka Vrindavan. And Sakhya ras is far more intense in Goloka Vrindavan than in Vaikuntha planets. Because in Vaikuntha planets, there is still a formality that he is the Supreme Lord, I am his servant. But once you enter Goloka Vrindavan, that formality disappears. So nevertheless, whether in Vaikuntha or in Goloka Vrindavan, you will always maintain your individual identity. Otherwise, there's no need of the concept of Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan, right? If the other philosophies believe that you become one with the Supreme Lord, then why do you need the Vaikuntha planet? What happens there? It is clearly said in the Vaikuntha planets, worship is happening. Every single second, every single minute. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature. Since this entire chapter is about Gunatraya, the 3 gunas, everything is contaminated by the 3 gunas, including so-called knowledge. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the 3 modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. So only the scriptures are beyond the 3 gunas, especially the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Therefore, the scriptures are pure in and of themselves. I was reading a purport by Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7 of Canto 1. And Prabhupada writes in that purport that the Lord is seated within you as Chaitya Guru or Paramatma, ready to help you and cleanse your consciousness, if you so desire. Internally, the Lord is situated with you. Externally, how is the Lord helping you? Through the process of scriptures, through the process of sadhus, and through the process of the initiating spiritual master. So Prabhupada differentiates between how the Lord helps you internally from within by giving you guidance, and how the Lord also helps you externally in the form of transcendental knowledge that is there in the scriptures, through other devotees of the Lord, and through your initiating spiritual master. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from the material activities of the material form, the spiritual identity becomes formless without any variegatedness. So the same sets of schools that believe that you merge into Parabrahman, they don't believe that there is a spiritual world. They don't believe in variety. Therefore, there is no service in that kind of liberation. Those in ignorance of this, however, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material activity. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. So with your spiritual form, you're serving them. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. So you will exhibit the same qualities that the Lord has, but not unlimitedly. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all the spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. So now Krishna, this is from another parampara. So now Krishna is saying, Idam jnanam upashritya. Here he's not saying, take shelter of me, you will attain nature like me. My apologies, this is His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's short commentary on the shloka. What is the meaning of this? So we approach this knowledge to take shelter of the knowledge. So in the sense, Prabhu is saying our goal is not, it's not an academic exercise that you just mug up the scriptures and you feel that you have conquered it. How do you approach the scriptures? The scriptures are also meant to take shelter of. Our goal is not to conquer Krishna by knowledge. Our goal is to conquer Krishna through love. For that gives ourselves, and for that we have to give ourselves to Him in various ways. And one of the ways in which you can surrender to Krishna is to surrender your intellect. Idam jnanam upashritya. So as a devotee, we take shelter of the knowledge which He has given us. All these are talking from the bhakta perspective. That is, Prabhu is saying he is explaining the same shloka from a bhakti yoga perspective. But since this particular chapter and this particular section is actually Jnana Yoga, from Jnana Yoga perspective, the Lord is saying you have to immerse yourself in this knowledge, understand it. And once we are absorbed in this knowledge, we can go beyond material nature and its complications. So in this particular shloka, the Lord is saying, by understanding this this knowledge about the three gunas and how it influences you, obviously once you've acquired the knowledge, you will do something about it. You will take practical action. And once you take that practical action, then you can become established just like the Supreme Lord. And therefore, whether there is creation or dissolution, you are not disturbed because you are already on the transcendental platform. So that is the essence of this particular shloka.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.